I'm excited to share this course with you, entitled What is Sufism? A Guide to the History, Teachings, and Debates of Islamic Spirituality. There's no background knowledge or prerequisites required to take this course. I'll be using terms and referring to concepts familiar to Muslims or familiar to anyone with a basic familiarity with Islam. So this course is really intended for anyone who's interested in learning more about Sufism and the history and development of Sufism. So if you don't have any background knowledge but you're interested and curious, this would be the course for you. If you know a little bit about Sufism and maybe have questions and interest in learning more, this would be an excellent course for you. And if you know a lot about one aspect or one tradition within Sufism, this would be a great course for expanding the breadth and the knowledge that you have. So what will we cover in this course? First of all, we'll chart the development of Sufism from the very beginning of the science and the practice of Sufism in the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, passing through the various developments and trajectories within Sufism in the medieval period, and up to and finally concluding at the present day. In the course of that study, we'll learn about the major doctrines or practices and teachings of Sufism. We'll become familiar with the most important figures in the development of Sufism. We'll study the institutions and the structures of Sufism. And we'll also contemplate and consider the broader geopolitical and social and cultural contexts that gave shape to varying and diverse manifestations and practices and traditions of Sufism. And finally, we'll also discuss and critically examine the historical and the contemporary debates and controversies in the practice and in the study of Sufism. So the course is structured into 8 modules, and they will follow a chronological development, so beginning with the foundational texts and practices and figures of Sufism, passing through the development of a science or a discipline of Sufism, of spiritual cultivation, discussing the spread of Sufism and the expansion, the geographic and social and institutional expansion of Sufism in the medieval period, talking about the absorption of Sufism within imperial early modern Muslim states and the spread of Sufism alongside Islam into frontier regions, and finally ending with the transformations within Sufism in the modern period, in the colonial and post-colonial context of reform and modernization, and of course the spread of Sufism into the West, into Europe, and into other Western societies, North America, and so on. And the course will conclude with the consideration of some of the most important takeaways from a historical course like this. The course is intended to be an experience of guided learning, and so each of the modules will begin with an introduction that frames the most important themes and takeaways from the module. It will conclude with, similarly, a conclusion for each module, and in between, the module is divided into various segments that are each topical or thematic in order to enable you to follow the progression and the development of the course at your own leisure. We'll also provide learning resources and learning materials that will support you in your learning journey. And finally, we'll provide reading lists, recommended reading lists, for those interested in learning more beyond the scope of the course. I'm Dr. Mariam Sheibani, and I hope you enjoy the course, and I hope that you find it beneficial.